I'm Jay Diff with the No Old Heads podcast, and this is episode 494. On this episode, we talked about Jay-Z's 3-night anniversary concert at Yankee Stadium, DJ Funk Flex comparing Jay-Z to Kanye's Albanian concert, saying Kanye is being ignored, and Jay-Z criticizing Colin Kaepernick and maybe not understanding his criticism around being a billionaire. Support the show and get our uncut 2-hour episode without ads by becoming a $5 Patreon or YouTube member. And please make sure to click the bell and turn on notifications. See you in the comments. Peace.
You are now tuned in to the New Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7th. The brothers are in the building, starting off with my man Jay Moore. How are you, good brother?
I'm doing well, just trying to stay cool.
I like that. It's hot outside. My man Longevity matching very well. How are you, buddy?
Thank you. I'm doing all right.
Good brand placement.
Thanks.
My man DJ J Diff. What's happening, man?
Salutations.
Everything good your way, bro?
Everything's all right, man.
Love
Everything's
to hear that.
all right.
Love to hear that, man. I missed y'all, man. I missed y'all last couple weeks.
It's been a while.
Yeah, man. Life been lifing, but it's good to be home. Shout out to the champ in the building as well. Hey, I don't have an AKA for him yet. I gotta keep watching.
An AK form?
AKA. Don't
gotcha.
do that. Don't do that.
Trying to violence.
No violence. I gotta keep watching.
We might have to censor that part of the show.
that part.
episode.
Yeah. No, for sure. Now, Jay just concluded his historic 3-night anniversary residency at Yankee Stadium. Obviously, he did Reasonable Doubt, Blueprint, and I think the third night was just like a
Extra innings.
Yeah, extra innings mashup. There's a quick video of one of the performances we can watch, and then I want to break this down from 2 or 3 different angles, but let's start with the video first.
A lot of people.
It's a lot of people, man.
Looks like it's sold out to me.
Looks sold out to me. A lot of people saying it wasn't, which is stupid, but yeah, so it looks like it was sold out. Shout out to M coming out. I think that's a huge, you don't get to see them do Renegade that often anyway. And him coming out, pretty much, legendary night, Nas, etc. But we can get into that. But I want to start here and then we can kind of branch off. But just initial thoughts and reactions based off everything that you've seen, the clips. How do you feel about the show based off how it's being presented?
Well, because I know a few people who went. My cousins are there.
I do too. Yeah.
I know a couple other people that made it. They all had a great time.
Yeah.
They all said it was one of those things that they'll never forget. But I think this was something I think was good for the culture because, hey, everybody who got on that stage, and rapped, their mics had to be on.
Yeah,
and
true.
I
There was
think
some backing tracks.
Was there?
M had a backing track, but Jay didn't have one.
Okay,
from what I saw, he was
the headliner.
he was
basically
on the
rapped every word for 3 nights straight. And so whenever I can point at that, and say, hey, if you want to make it to this kind of status, like everybody who is rapping right now, please learn the words to your songs.
That part,
because you can say whatever you want about Jay. I have said several things about Jay, and probably I'll say some things tonight. But one thing I cannot say is that he is a slouch when it comes to a performer and putting together a show.
No, for sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
I just think this was really dope to see somebody who's 30 years in the game. Actually longer than that, if you take it back to
Jazzo.
Yeah, to Jazzo and Hawaiian Sophie and,
I thought it was dope that he brought out jazz too.
The stuff, he had a song with Old Dirty Bastard and Big Daddy Kane. And that's the video where Jay-Z has on the Reggie Miller jersey, which is crazy. But yeah, man, I think this is a good thing for specifically hip hop performance culture, which I think sometimes takes a remarkably bad rap. But no pun intended, but because, people are not so invested in the performer. They're just invested in showing up and getting a check and saying, oh, yeah, man, it was a movie. We rocked it. Yeah. It's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think this was, from what I saw, I thought it was very cool. It seemed like everybody had a good time. The only, hiccup was, the security breach apparently on Sunday.
Yeah.
And, all the people who spent their entire weekends hating. That was interesting.
Oh, we're going to talk about
but,
that.
Well, yeah, it is what it is.
Terry, what you think, bro? Overall, from what you've seen.
Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
3 times. 3 sold out shows. Jay put on an absolute clinic. he definitely is in rapping shape because Breath Control, everything was there. The guest list that he brought out, I mean, it just took me back to actually hearing these albums when they first came out. And it just goes to show too that real life and internet are not the same. Like
At all.
People can get online and say whatever they want.
Yeah.
Have their feelings about what they think it's going to be, and it's not going to do this, it's not going to do that. But those same people probably seen the same show that I watched on TikTok. Shout out to whoever streamed that whole show. It was a lot of people streaming the whole thing every night.
That part. Yeah.
Shout out to those people that were able to, you know what I'm saying, provide me the entertainment. And you too, if you've seen it on there.
I did.
But it definitely showed that somebody of Jay-Z's stature has not lost a beat, and he's been doing it for a long time. And this, I wouldn't say solidifies his place or his legacy. It just says that it never left. He hasn't missed a beat, literally and figuratively.
I guess the thing that jumps out to me is more about the time distance between when Reasonable Doubt came out to now. 30 years is a long time to be able to perform a record and have a sold out stadium still rock with the album. And I thought that was very impressive for him to be able to roll out this record from 96 to now. And it still sounds like it. Now, maybe you have to take into consideration the age group or whatever, but it aged well. That record aged well, in my personal opinion. I can still listen to it. And then for him to be able to go out and execute it, to Terry's point about the breath control, like it didn't look like he was rusty. Everything was executed, from what I saw, perfectly from a performance standpoint. I don't expect him to do cartwheels or none of that shit, but it was dope. Like, I thought he performed it well, and the features were dope. I liked him. I think that's very impressive to be able to perform a record like that and have it stand the test of time for 30 years. That's a long time.
Well, it wasn't just Reasonable Doubt though, right?
Nah, Blueprint was the second
too,
night.
but that's I think the Reasonable Doubt piece is more impressive to me because of how old that album is and the fact that those records still go to a sold out house.
Sure. That speaks volumes to Jay. I could even say that most of his catalog has stood the test of time. I mean, of course, there are some dated tracks and songs that he has out there, but overall, Jay's catalog has stood the test of time to the point where you can do a show right now 25 and 30 years later and it's still well received. Hell, I know people were talking about, for some reason, they were bringing up his album sales and how it was a flop. This album came out 30 years ago.
Well, the crazy thing is, talk about when Reasonable Doubt hit in 96, and then you're talking about 2001, of course, 9/11, 2001. I don't care what you say. Like, I know we can kind of look back on it now, but those are two different worlds as far as the landscape of hip hop between 96 and 2001. It's almost like, how do you even really even compare those two pieces of art? In a way you can, but you can't because it's the same artist. But from the Jay-Z that hit with Reasonable Doubt, and then you're talking about the Jay-Z that hit with the Blueprint. Jay-Z at that point was still what many would consider to be an underground rapper. He hadn't had radio success. If you were ahead, you knew, Jay-Z, especially, you would know, the 22 twos and, and Regrets.
Dead President single.
So yeah. And you really, but then by the time he gets to the first Blueprint, this guy, was in doing stadiums, and this was his
fourth album.
So, and now you're talking about somebody who's had several #1 albums, and he was a staple on the radio. So, I mean, there's so much of a difference between, the Blueprint and Reasonable Doubt, just not only where Jay-Z is, but where hip hop was, because at the same time, this was when, I know people, it's hard to kind of recollect this, but this is when still hearing hip hop on the radio all the time was special in 1996. Even having the opportunity to hear in certain places, to hear hip hop during the day on the radio was special. But by the time we get to Blueprint, even in places that may not be the biggest markets, there is a hip hop station. Sometimes, and by that time, St. Louis had 2. It was crazy. So I just think this is something that you know, as far as time capsules are concerned, like it's kind of a cool thing to compare, not just, you know, outside of Jay-Z, but just when you're talking about hip hop in general.
Yeah.
No, I'm with that. Lone, I know you probably don't care, but I figured I'd ask you.
No, I'm going to pose another question.
Let's go. What's up?
Does the success of recent Yankee Stadium show, you know, it was a massive thing, prove that people have been wrong about the appeal of older hip hop legends? You know, or is this an exception? What do you think?
You know, I've been a person that has always said the hip hop legends don't get treated right in hip hop, and then I would always compare it to rock and roll or compare it to whatever. You know, I've always had that stance, but this is the first time where I'm like, maybe I'm wrong because of the reception and the generations that were there for the show. It's not like this place was full of people that are our age. There were kids in there that were Jackson's age that were there as well. And I feel like he actually got his flowers the way he was supposed to. But also there's a part of me that says Jay has always been an exception. So the exception word kind of like, who else is going to do this? Like I was going to pose a question to this question, but we can answer this first. But I got another follow-up because I want to see what we think about artists that could do the same thing in their home areas based off a certain album. But as it relates to this question that you posed, you know what, Lone, I think this is one of those times where I just got to be honest and say it was just one of the ones where hip-hop was appreciated and Jay got his flowers. Like I'm going to go with that side. Even though Jay's a legend, I'm going to go with that side.
Yeah, I think it's cool that he had 3 days and he was able to sell it out, and the super fans of his were able to show up and get to see and witness this and all that stuff. I think all that's cool. But I do kind of look at Jay as kind of an exception.
Yeah.
To some, at least on this capacity. Like I don't know who else. There are very few people I think. Well, I don't know.
See,
man.
that's where I wanted to go, bro, because I don't know.
But I mean, if we take away the fact that Jay-Z did 3 days at Yankee Stadium, right? That's a really high bar.
It is.
But I still think that, you know, as long as the older hip hop legends are still relevant, still doing things, you know, we see reunion tours and things like that. But
I got one for you. Let's just do hypotheticals real quick, right? So what's the stadium? The Rose Bowl. What's called the Rose Bowl. Could Snoop do 3 nights on Doggy Style that are the equivalent of what Jay just did with Reasonable Doubt, Blueprint, etc.?
I think he could.
If they say
Snoop was popular. Now, don't get it twisted.
If they say Snoop and if they say Dre and Snoop especially,
if they promote it the same way Jay promoted this, I think absolutely.
You think he could? Because see, Snoop was the first person that came to my mind.
I think Dre and Snoop could do it. I think Dre could do it. I think they could do it separately.
Okay.
I think Eminem could do this.
He could.
I just had a name and I forgot it. But
somebody told me Lil Wayne.
I think Wayne could probably do it.
Yeah, well, Lil Wayne was one that I heard as well.
You know,
if he shows up,
don't do that. You right though. You right, but
he don't have
that.
A big history. Not sure.
Yeah, he ain't like Lauryn Hill. I love Lauryn Hill, but she be
no. Cause he had, you know, and maybe it's because I think it was in Maine. Like recently, it was the first show of the tour, and he just didn't show up. You know, and they said, "Oh, we'll reschedule it." But I'm like, look, if I and this is a little bit of tangent, but if I got a babysitter, you know, I rented a hotel, something because if I haven't made it to that specific place, I don't know if I can make it to your makeup show. I just want my money back. But, you know, so like I said, if it's in somewhere in New Orleans, maybe he does it at Smoothie King or maybe the Superdome. King. Maybe, I mean,
Superdome is huge.
Yeah, I know. So that might be pushing it for just Lil Wayne.
Yeah, but I don't want to like compare everything to Jay-Z and that. Like,
no, not at all.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like a lot of people can, you know, I feel like there are a lot of acts that could do something just like this. You know, like, all right, we're gonna celebrate beats, rhymes, and life or something. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, or we're gonna celebrate. I mean, granted, Fife's not here, right?
But, for sure.
But you know, like, you know, I do think that, you know, if it's marketed and pushed in the right way, I do think a lot of these legacy acts could at least have a big celebration around a thing. In the same way that Little Brother had their little going out thing, and they're not huge.
Yeah, I think kind of.
That's a good question. That's a good comparison.
We were there in Durham. We were there in Durham, and people showed up to that.
Yeah, I think what Jay-Z is doing here is not only representing for the older or legends, so to speak, is showing his staying power, because I don't think that Jay's ever had a time where he dropped something and it wasn't real well received. Like, I mean, there may have been mixed reviews on the album here and there, but when he went out on tour, it kind of made up for that, so to speak. But
that's fair.
I think you just have to have a certain fan base and a certain appeal. Kanye could do it.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Kanye,
who else?
feel the United Center.
Wu-Tang will be able to do it.
Yep.
Artists like that. And I just like that it keeps adding to the story of hip hop, that it doesn't matter how old you are, because
there you go.
The age of hip hop. Hip hop is not that old. So we're still, you know what I'm saying, writing the rules, or fuck it, no rules. You know what I'm saying? If you still love it, if you're still in it for the love of the game, continue to tour, continue to do what you're doing. And this is just showing that it's possible to be 50 some odd years old and sell out an arena or a stadium 3 days in a row, and to have other artists come attribute to the show because they have that much respect for you to, you know what I'm saying, help aid and assist in that.
And that's why I fight with the idea about the exception, because hip hop has been notoriously known for the ageism. And this right here, like this whole situation, just takes that right out the equation because of how successful it was. And then, you know, as we were talking about other artists, it's like he had the merch with the hats and the train and
very expensive merch.
Come on, trust me, I heard the stories. They was definitely,
that merch
it was high,
crazy.
But I heard it was also moving. So he's still at this age, for him to be this relevant and to be able to perform and bring people out. And one of those nights is based off a 30-year record. I just think that is extremely impressive.
I think one of the things, honestly, we need to do is retire that narrative of we're not showing love to
the older artists,
because we just saw what Jay just did. You know, we've seen Nas do nights where everybody gets in the black tie. Same thing with Jeezy. We saw Gucci Mane do it.
True.
And you know, one of the examples to me is like, okay, why we should retire that narrative is Wu-Tang just got done with a stadium tour, like nationwide, went on a second leg, did international, to where, okay, Wu-Tang, maybe you don't know any of the newer records, or honestly, you may not be paying attention or even care, but Wu-Tang has a catalog, especially when it's all of them who are left, you know, rest in peace, ODB. There are people who are like, yeah, I'll pay that because it's not cheap to go to concerts. You know, everybody got on whatever the Jay-Z ticket price was. It's not cheap to go to concerts
at all.
The people who appreciate a certain level of music, they're going to pay whatever to just have one night where they have that feeling back.
Yeah.
You know, so
that's what it's about.
I think now we're actually where hip hop is matured to a point to is like, no, if LL Cool J and you know, Big Daddy Kane and MC Lyte, and they packaged that together correctly. Like they did it with the Rock the Bells tour.
Rock the Bells.
You know, people are going to go see that because the people who are the age that they remember those records, they got some money.
That part.
Yeah.
And so honestly, that's what needs to be taken into account. I just think there was this weird place in time to where we're like, oh, we're not appreciating the legends of hip hop. And we just hadn't reached that nostalgia level part yet. And because hip hop as a genre is still so young.
Yeah, it still exists though, because like a lot of the younger fans, they don't really understand. Well, I can't even just say younger fans. I'll say that people that are hip hop adjacent, just because they like a certain artist, they feel like they can speak on other artists or have an opinion when I don't see you and identify your taste in music as hip hop at all.
But
so
we don't care
type
about
of
them.
Right, but those type of people are always going to have something to say about an older hip hop act because one, they weren't there, and two, they don't understand it. I did see some of the streams where there were some younger cats in the audience streaming it, and at the end of the stream, one of them was like, "This was my first hip hop show, and this was amazing."
Yeah,
you know, so to see that it still has that effect on people that understand and appreciate music is promising.
Like I said, we went to go see Little Brother in Chicago.
Yeah.
You know, and if someone who was all into the analytics of things, you know, broke down their chart history, technically they don't have any hit records. what
didn't matter
when you talk about Billboard hits, but everybody in there had paid the money to get in.
Yep.
Bought merch. You know what I'm saying? Contributed to, you know, what you would call the hip hop economy, if you will. And so the people who are like, who's little brother? I don't care about them.
Sure.
Yeah, that brings up another thing too.
I don't care.
At all.
Because I remember when I first moved here, one of the first shows that I went to at the Vogue, Diggable Planets came here with Omega Watts. So
that's a name.
Exactly. And I just remember telling somebody about it. It's like, yeah, I'm going to go over to the Vogue and go to this. They're like, Diggable Planets, you know, and this is when Diggable Planets is like 10 years, you know, removed from their last record.
Yeah.
And then when I get back, you know, a person I talked to was like, I should have went to that. I was like, yeah, you should have went to that.
So it seems that, you know, rappers, former business partners and artists have been using Jay-Z as a source of content and attention. So that was the initial question that I posed is, has Jay-Z become the new stimulus package for these content creators?
Or just for today.
Or is it just for today?
Yeah.
And my thing, Lone, is...
Next week, we ain't going to be talking about it.
I'm going to push back, not us, but I'm talking about in the...
We are content creators.
We are, but in the algorithm...
We follow it.
There's going to be talk about this from these people that we're talking about. I'm going to give you an example. Oskino, Dame. We know Dame is going to talk about this for another 6 months.
Okay.
He actually just had an interview on the Art of Dialogue where he literally said, they asked Dame, how did you feel about the concert? Dame proceeds to talk for 7 minutes about everything that he did and he influenced and didn't even mention the concert other than the hats were corny and whatever.
Yeah.
But he also
Notice
said...
how we're not talking about that.
But what I'm saying is he said, I'm still using it for the algorithm. Like I'm still using it to play on Jay. Boosie brought up Jay and something like that's what I'm saying. I'm seeing it pop up everywhere where it's like I can use Jay for content. Well, that's why I call him the stimulus package.
I understand that. I think we kind of agreed that there is a Jay-Z stimulus package a few episodes back when the Roots situation happened.
Right.
There absolutely is an opportunity for a lot of people, Jay haters especially, because there's a couple people that pop up on my timeline that I don't even follow. And their whole content is strictly about Jay-Z and why he's this and why he's that. Nobody should like him. Like it's somebody that I need to just block this person. I don't know how they keep popping up.
Because you engage and you look at who is replying to the comments, and then the algorithms.
That's a different one right there.
No, but
yeah,
I'm saying,
you're right.
But that's exactly what it is. Like
Yeah.
if you see a stupid statement, then you look at if you look at the comments on it, then it triggers the algorithm to say, "Oh, you're interested in this."
Oh, okay.
Please don't comment on it.
Yeah, so
man.
Even if it's negatively interested.
Right. So
You know what
I mean, and the people that you just brought up, they're getting a check to talk about this. So
100%.
obviously they're going to address it. Whether Dame liked it or not, he's not going to be honest about it because it's not going to be as provocative, so to speak. It's not going to make people want to click it. He has to say cinnamon doo-doo or make a song about something which was terrible. I don't even know why.
Trash artist.
You know, I mean, you're doing it to feed the algorithm and your pocket. So
That part.
yeah, I mean that exists obviously
In pockets.
And it does, yeah. And it always is going to exist when you're somebody of Jay's caliber that can influence conversation, so to speak. But yeah, there's definitely an influence going on behind Jay-Z and other artists that people who had a relationship with Jay can sit down and make, you know what I'm saying, content and make.
Oh, and openly is the part that I think gets left out. It's open. It's almost like they are acknowledging that this is what I'm doing and it's working. And that's okay because a lot of people get it confused where it's like, well, they have an actual gripe. They might. I wasn't there. We don't know these people. But I do know I'm not stupid and you're still playing the game as it relates to the numbers so you can get that paper. And
I'm not mad at it at the end of the day.
And that's why I call it. I think Dame looks bad. That's my personal opinion.
No, I mean, look,
I think he looks
for
bad.
us, there's been a Dame Dash stimulus package.
Yeah.
You know,
That's fair. That's fair.
So I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say we don't take the stimulus package. We look at what's moving in the culture.
You have to.
Because if you're going to be a content creator, that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
You know, just like, you know, we haven't had Puff Daddy or Sean Combs rather. You know, we didn't really talk about anything he was doing as far as his art, but when he got into some trouble, all right, well, let's talk about Sean Combs.
We were on that.
You know,
That's fair.
so I'm not going to act like we don't do the exact same thing because we do.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, like I get it. Like
My only pushback.
Oskino, like I don't know his music. I haven't clicked on anything concerning him. But when he starts talking about Jay-Z, somehow it shows up in my feed. Dame Dash is just going to show up because he just will sit down and talk to anybody about anything, considering Jay. And the smart thing about Dame is, like you said, you ask him a question about something, and he talks for 7 minutes about something he wants to talk about.
That part,
he's never going to say, you know what, those performances were incredible. It was great to see all those people come together. Why would he do that? Why would he engage in any sort of positivity?
Doesn't help the algorithm.
Yeah, so we engage in the negative and the name calling and the foolishness, and then that is what drives the, algorithm for some people. Like, I think we're critical. I don't want to make it seem like we're that great, but we're critical on a more intellectual level most times. We just don't talk bad about people to talk bad about them. So,
and we also don't talk about certain things for 6 weeks in a row. Like, we'll address it, and if it resurfaces again based off whatever pops up, cool. But I don't look at us as someone that's like, we have to milk this for 7 weeks because everybody else is doing it. I don't think we're that.
That's not how our show is structured, right?
Agreed.
So we literally get together and we, once a week we're like, well, what's going on right now in the algorithm that makes sense for us to talk about? And if Jay-Z is doing a whole bunch of stuff, then we're going to talk about Jay-Z. If Drake's doing a whole bunch of stuff, we're probably going to talk about Drake or Kendrick or whomever. Last week it was Prof. It just depends on like what is going on that we deem that makes sense for us to talk about. So Jay-Z has a little bit more pull than most other people because Jay-Z, he has more algorithmic hits. So if Jay-Z does a ton of stuff, then yeah, it makes sense for us to at least bring it up if it's not a redundant conversation.
Plus, to me, in my personal opinion, I think Jay is still on brand for us.
Yeah, as long as it's not a redundant conversation.
Yeah, as long as it's nothing that's, what we would deem ridiculous, like you said, or redundant.
The thing about it is we're not chasing media takeout style content in order to talk about this, so to speak. So,
plus we're not getting paid for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I remember when the whole whatever thing with Klay Thompson and Megan Thee Stallion came, I remember somebody hit me and was like, are you guys going to talk about Megan? I was like, no, for what?
For what?
If that's not really anything, we're particularly interested in. And if we were, maybe you probably don't want to hear what we have to say anyway. It's not something.
You don't want to hear me say, I don't care.
Yeah. And whatever. Maybe I'll save that for something else. But this is not the place for just goofy gossip takes.
You are now listening or watching the New Old Heads podcast. Our official 1-hour episode is released every Saturday at noon Eastern, where we share our exclusive uncut 2-hour episode to our YouTube members and Patreon members early every Wednesday. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Indie City and Vinyl, Decademics, and Bringing Down the Band. And most importantly, you. You can support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads, where we embrace the new, respect the old, and remain ahead.
Now, DJ Funk Flex says, don't forget about Kanye. Now, DJ Funk Flex went to his Instagram stories to share a post questioning the way hip-hop media has been covering the weekend's biggest events. So Flex says, funny how the blogs aren't posting how massive Kanye's Albania concert is, but they're reporting on Jay-Z. So let's take a look at Kanye's.
Man, I wonder if, being just a huge anti-Semite degenerate, anti-black person has anything to do with this.
And the fact that the media world is centered in New York, and so was the concert. But we'll get into that.
I just want everybody to see the stage, and then we'll discuss.
All right.
So first of all, give credit where credit is due. That stage is amazing to me. I think that shit is dope. I ain't about to be a hater. I think it's crazy. 2, it's probably sold out. Yeah, it's sold out.
There were 60,000 people there.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. If we look, like you said, real life versus, what we hear. That's crazy. But in the midst of all of his comments about race, hip hop, fashion, Kanye's been everywhere, as Lone just alluded to when we went to the video. Has Kanye proved anything about today's society? with his sold out shows overseas?
I think that we are in a situation, and I'll say this even with Jay, that there is so much celebrity worship in our society, and it's not just our society, because that's halfway around the world in Albania. That is, as long as you've done something on television that we've admired, then we let a lot of other shit go. And, you know, I'm not surprised that, you know, this, first of all, American culture translates in an incredible way overseas a lot of times. Like, I'm not comparing Kanye to Michael Jackson, but remember, you know, at one part, you know, when it was the Dangerous World Tour, it didn't even play in America. Michael only toured Europe and Asia, and you know, so we didn't even see all that as far as the performances goes. Now, until now, with a lot of this stuff has made its way to YouTube. You know, so I'm not surprised that Kanye can do these kind of numbers, but he even did it at SoFi in LA. You know, I looked at the crowd and I was like, well, I wouldn't have gone to that show.
Cancel culture isn't real.
So I just think that we don't think it's real? No, cancel culture is definitely not real.
Okay.
Look, I just remember at one point, remember when Ray Lewis was caught up in a murder Super Bowl? And it was less than 5 years later, he was on the cover of John Madden Football and was the football spokesman for Nike. You know, when you have hit records or you can do something incredibly athletic, like as long as you stay quiet for a little while, like Kanye is kind of done, or try to, even if your apologies are considered half-hearted, which is what I consider them, some people are like, oh, well, let's move on. And so, like, I'm not surprised at how large of a crowd is there to see Kanye West. Now, I am one of those people, if I'd have been in the position to go see Jay-Z, and, you know, maybe it was something I could have driven to, I'd have probably found a way to get a ticket to go see Jay-Z. At this point, there is nothing that Kanye could be performing, you know, at the Vogue, and I wouldn't go.
Yeah, this kind of speaks, again, I feel like we have to bring up society as a whole.
Yes.
All the time, because a lot of people's moral compass does not exist. They could care less what somebody said, did, talked about. You could have talked about their people, so to speak, but as long as you're entertaining them, it doesn't matter. They want to be a part of the moment just so that they could talk about they were part of the moment. And comparing, I mean, and this isn't off brand for Funk Flex, because at one point in time, he was praising Jay-Z. Their relationship has since soured. So anytime Jay is mentioned, he is on the polar opposite, trying to diminish whatever Jay has going on.
Long jump in, man. What do you think about this, or has Kanye proved anything?
Cancel culture does not exist. It's not a real thing. It's not. It's an interesting phenomenon that we want to think it exists, but as long as you take a little bit of pause and seem a little bit, people forget, man. People don't care. People don't care.
Look,
we care.
We care, yeah.
But like in general, this is always why it's like, who cares about people? It's the same frame of mind, like groupthink. It's just like this whole thing. Like, people in general don't care, and they're gonna find an excuse to. Lex is finding an excuse to criticize Jay-Z and compare him to Kanye West when they're in two completely different planes. And I understand that there's crossover there between the two because they used to know each other and stuff like that. And
did some great things together.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You know, like that was the rise of Kanye West was through Jay-Z and all that. But like, you know, Kanye's kind of in his own world right now, doing his own type of thing. Probably the biggest independent artist of all time at this point. You know, and good for him. You know, I hope he's healed in the way that he needs to. But at the same time, I don't care. Like, I just don't care. Like, to me, this type of comparison in this particular type of way, like, I don't think it proves anything. It just proves, maybe it proves that cancel culture really doesn't exist.
The only person I've ever seen be canceled really is R. Kelly. And
he went to jail.
Not just because he went to jail
though. Yeah,
can't do nothing.
But also,
like, do about that.
They took every single one of his videos off of YouTube.
He can make new ones.
Don't do that. Don't do that. He can.
He could, but you know,
Kanye is making new music.
They took his, you know, like they took his YouTube channel.
Yep.
Like, the only time you can pull up anything related to R. Kelly on YouTube is if he was featured with somebody in a video. Yeah. So other than that, Like it's
but
a
even
rap.
still, like if he didn't go to jail,
Yeah.
But Puff
he
Daddy's
can
in jail, but they didn't take his YouTube channel.
But when he gets out,
but what I'm saying is like R. Kelly doesn't have the chance to continue his legacy.
Right.
No.
Right. If R. Kelly makes a whole bunch of new music, with the people that will still mess with him, because there's still, I'm sure, plenty
If
of
R.
people
Kelly
that
got
still
out
will.
tomorrow, somebody would go see him in concert.
They'd be in
Sold out.
line.
But here's what I'm saying. He
Yeah.
will make new content. He will
Yes.
create new buzz, and then he will be able to play his old music at his concerts. And that's
100%.
exactly what would happen.
Fair.
You know?
yeah, like again, the real world and internet are not the same.
Yeah.
Look,
People can
Mystical.
get on the internet and talk all they want and say this, that, and the third and not agree with this, but in real time, they're going to do exactly or whatever they want to do.
Look, Mystical got out of jail on a SA charge
Yeah.
and was still able to get out and do music with Mark Ronson.
Yeah.
And do shows. You know,
He's back in jail again, though,
Yeah,
right?
it's for the same thing.
Like,
get
for
right.
like the third time.
Can't get right.
And you know what? Still got a YouTube channel.
Well,
Yeah, but YouTube's not everything. And I feel like the thing that really canceled R. Kelly was going to jail.
100%.
Was like that.
Yeah.
The documentary, a lot of things, it just got to a point where people.
But that jail is
You
like,
play-
I'm
that's,
telling
that's
you,
the
if R.
dagger
Kelly
notice.
gets out tomorrow and he
Yeah.
starts dropping new music, nobody cares.
I agree
He
with Law.
creates a brand new YouTube channel.
I agree.
He creates a brand maybe
Nobody cared about him hog tying
No,
No.
or
nobody
nothing.
cares. I feel like it's just the circumstances with him. But
Yeah.
like,
If he didn't go to jail, he would be out here getting his money.
yeah, he would probably get sponsored by Hog Ties.
Yeah.
Actually, if you really want to let me stop. I'm not going to. Like,
Yeah.
Like
Like if
branded
you-
Hog Ties.
like if you actually
It's gonna
just
be called
made.
the Kells
If you just
edition.
made some neckties with hogs on them.
Yeah.
I'm just
Honestly,
saying,
that would probably be a
people would
marketing
buy
idea.
them.
Yeah. Why
Like-
would they buy those hog ties?
I don't know why.
If you
Why
made-
would he?
That's ignorant. If you made ties with hogs on them.
Yeah.
Listen, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Sorry,
the
man.
only people,
That's funny. I'm sorry.
the
That's
only
funny.
people that have gotten canceled and are for real canceled are like a Kevin Spacey
Okay.
And he's on his return. He's getting ready to return.
Yeah.
because
Well-
honestly, all that stuff kind of got cleared for him.
I
Yeah.
stand corrected.
A lot of
Yeah.
that stuff did get cleared.
I wish they'd have done it before. House of Cards
Yeah.
was finished up because
Yeah,
I was.
and Z's sorry, which I think,
He's
Yeah.
back. He's done.
He's back.
He's done a.
but
I
it,
mean-
it definitely put a
Damper.
roadblock in his
Louis C.K.
ascension. Louis C.K.
Louis C.K. apologized, and then he was just like, you know what? I
I'm cool.
apologize.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm just gonna keep doing my stuff. You can support if you want or not.
Yeah.
You
So,
know?
what do you all think about what do we think about the concept of what Flex is actually saying outside of trolling, but about media bias? Is there something there to
Yes, I am biased to not want to
That's
pay
what I'm
attention to
asking.
Kanye West because he's a degenerate human being.
That's what I'm asking.
Hey, there you
That's
have
what I'm
it.
asking.
The end. You know,
That's what I'm
like you
asking.
get what you sow. If you don't like me, you're not gonna watch my content. You know, it's just kind of
You
what
have a
it is.
choice.
Yeah, you don't have to. You know, like and it's the same. Yes, of course I'm biased.
Yeah.
I'm openly, happily biased.
Yeah.
No, all the, like I said, I saw him try to apologize for the anti-Semitic things, but I'm like, you said a whole bunch of things that were anti-black, and your popularity makes those statements extremely dangerous.
Facts.
Especially when considering, if you only gonna think about your black children in Calabasas, and that's the only thing that you have too much of a platform for us to take any of these excuses from you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
cool.
you aligned yourself with some pretty foul individuals and people that didn't necessarily agree
had a-
with their takes.
He had a black leather
Yeah.
clan robe made.
Yeah.
And this is
yeah.
recently.
Yeah, this was
You know?
last year, I want to say.
I'm just saying. Like,
Some people said it was tied into some African
No,
thing
no,
that we
we're not
missed
doing that.
or that we didn't really
Nah, we didn't
understand.
miss nothing. It
Y'all
was right
ain't
in your
10
face.
years. Y'all ain't 10 years ahead. Y'all don't understand
Yeah.
what he's thinking about.
He
I'm
redid
like, man,
his
quit
symbol.
it.
He redid a necklace or his symbol, yay, to replicate a swastika.
Facts.
He was out there getting iced out swastikas made. Nah, man.
Yeah.
Kanye's
Nah.
out here. Yeah, the bull that the leather was made from was sacrificial from,
Yeah, we're not doing that.
from the, I don't know, Marcus Garvey's family owned the bull.
Listen.
Marcus Garvey's
Like, I
family.
don't know. It's just like,
Like the way people cop pleas for
Yeah,
Kanye
just-
West, and anything to not hold him accountable for his bullshit.
yeah,
Well, and it's just a general situation because anything goes now. nobody is getting canceled because nobody is being shamed and nobody is, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it doesn't matter what you do as long as
you're entertained.
You're entertained and it creates a conversation, things of that nature. It doesn't matter anymore. And nobody's getting booed off the stage.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I'm somebody who believes that people deserve grace. And, you know, maybe there's a time and place where I give that to him in the future. I don't know. But that's my thing to give, and that's everybody's individual thing to give, you know, based upon what they do. And if they, you know, I believe in prison reform.
Shout out to Jay-Z.
I'm just saying, like, if you go to jail and you serve your time, you should be able to get out and be a functional member of society.
That's the way it's supposed to go, right?
You know, and so I have to hold that same amount of grace for everybody as long as they serve their whatever that may be. And I'm not even like I'm not even like a huge proponent of prison, but
societies,
but that's a whole nother thing. But at the same time, like, you know, yeah, there is a level of like of something that Kanye can do to showcase that he has changed. And because he is so big, it is going to have to be something that is big. And you can't just be like, oh, I'm sorry. That's not good enough.
No,
it's not good enough. Like you can't do something. You can't be this person and then give us like, it's like it's like the whole billionaire thing. Like a billionaire gives a little bit of money to somebody, you know, and you know, the equivalent to for me is like if I gave somebody a couple nickels, you know, like it's not anything.
Shiny ones.
Yeah, it's like I'm not giving you that grace. You're on a larger scale, so you know
we need more.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need Shine out here handing out shillings.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Want a shilling?
I'm with you on that.
I want a shilling. That'd be kind of cool. I want a memento.
A halfpenny?
I've had halfpennies in the past.
Yeah. Hey man.
Anyways,
God bless.
God bless.
No, I mean, look. Let's just keep it real. Funk Flex hates Jay-Z.
Yeah.
All right. So let's just
At the
get
end
that
of
out
the day,
the way.
let's get that out
That's
during the
what that
front.
is.
You know,
He's
and
just
so,
mad because he don't get the exclusives and gets to drop bombs and talk shit all over it anymore.
Top 5 corny legends ever.
you know. But if you've seen where Jay-Z is, I know there are certain people I just know feel a certain way because they're like, wait a minute, I remember standing right next to this guy.
Yep.
I remember standing right next to this guy, and I'm doing the same thing I was 30 years ago, and he's got the private jets and the pretty girl and the big house. Like, it might make you feel some type of way.
Maybe.
Or you just, the fact that like business, you're no longer associated with Jay-Z business-wise. A lot of times that's it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's something.
They don't get that that personal Jay-Z stimulus package where they were literally standing adjacent to him. Now they have to insert themselves into it.
They weren't the Memphis Bleak.
Yeah.
But
They
even
were
Memphis
something
Bleak
else.
said,
Good call, Lone.
but even
Good
Memphis
call.
Bleak was like, hey man, I feed myself over here.
He
Yeah,
did say
for sure.
that, and he
You
carved
know-
up Tony Yayo, which I laughed at. I thought that was great, but that's
Yeah.
neither here nor there.
Yeah, that's another conversation.
All right, man. Well, you know,
Moving on up.
that setup for Kanye is dope. I hope the brother's getting better. I'm not sitting around hating on him. Hope everything's working for him. He clearly getting that paper overseas, so kudos to him. And shout out to our long time listener, the homie Jesse, because he gave me that question about the Damon Biggs joint. He suggested that, so salute to him for.
Shouts to Jesse.
That's what's up,
he
man.
actually suggested that one, so I wanted to make sure I mentioned him because I hadn't even thought about it. That was
I
a good
saw
one.
Jesse. He said he's going to make a more of an intent. He said that I was wrong last week, but I wasn't wrong.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
But you know, obviously he can have his opinion. Shouts to Jesse.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, be in our YouTube comments, not our Facebook comments.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if
Jay,
you watch that,
Jay,
if
if you
you're
want to cook, go to YouTube, bro.
Yeah.
Just go to YouTube and
Drive
cook.
the engagement.
That's where we're doing the Facebook stuff for the lazy people. Stop being a lazy person.
Yeah.
It's provocative.
You've been rocking with us since day one, bro. Go on to
man.
YouTube and
Come
cook,
on,
man.
You ain't even on our Patreon, man.
But
What's up?
even if he ain't on the Patreon, you can still go to YouTube.
Yeah,
and
YouTube
cook.
definitely.
You can still go to cook.
Yeah.
So go ahead and
Yeah.
cook, so we can argue with you.
That's what's up,
Somebody
man.
else might argue. Some of our other supporters might argue with you too, low
Yeah,
key.
because I know you looking for a good conversation.
Of course.
Somebody
That's-
else is gonna give it to you.
That is where it's at.
That's exactly where it happens. That's facts.
I love it that the fact that we don't even have to reply sometimes.
That part.
People being there defending us with.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love
just
to
like-
see that.
when they especially
It was
the
a couple
people on the
weeks
West
ago.
Coast, when we had the conversation about Too Short and Tupac.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. We didn't have to do anything.
They just did their own thing.
No, and when we had the conversation, almost every time when we talk about this, whether it's a large or small conversation, about the founding of hip hop and who was actually involved. Man, I'd be like, all right, y'all can have
y'all got it.
We did something. It was the title. It was the titling recently though, where I did an intentional sarcastic one. It was the Lupe
needs our help.
Oh yeah,
Lupe needs our help, or it was the other one where it's
that pissed a lot of people off.
No, it wasn't that one. It was the one where it's like Lupe generously keeps Kendrick Lamar relevant.
Oh, okay,
which is obviously sarcastic, right?
Yeah. For sure.
And I was like, how somebody was like negative, and there was like 3 or 4 people like. He's like, you're not here very often. They're like this is
you really don't know what's going on right now.
I commented, we're on the same team. We're mad at the wrong thing.
That part. Yeah. That part.
So
learn how to read the room, even if you've never been in that room.
Yeah, and support.
And I intentionally turn comments off for people that aren't subscribed, so at least they subscribe.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Yeah.
I want them to itch so bad to make comments that they subscribe so they can get in there and actually talk what they want to talk. So.
Yeah, man.
I just want
to know that the people that actually comment are invested in what we're doing to some degree.
And clearly by some of the comments, they are definitely invested. Yeah. So salute to them. Yeah, Jay, get in the comments, man, on YouTube, bro. Do your thing. All right. Let's and we back to Jay again, huh? This is not Jay heavy, but kinda.
No, it's Jay heavy.
It's Jay heavy episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. How we gonna act like we didn't see this stuff?
That part.
Yeah, I mean,
that's fair. That's fair.
He did sew the whole weekend up.
And everybody was content everywhere.
I didn't even know he had a concert until Sunday.
Content everywhere, bro.
Dead serious. I'm dead serious.
I'm not blown. Like that's.
I didn't know anything was going on until people were like, "Well, it's 11:30." I'm just like, "What's going on?" Oh, this is the third night. I was like, "Oh, dang."
Yeah.
Lone was like, "Where have I been?"
That's on brand for Sean, though. So
it is.
Look, the Super Bowl was this weekend. What?
No. Our brother's consistent. He's always been.
Yeah,
consistent.
I definitely knew that Jay was performing this weekend because I would have liked to have been at one of those 3 dates.
Didn't even.
I got text messages from a lot of friends that were there. I saw a lot of pictures, and I was living vicariously through them. We'll just say that. The question that's been posed is: did Jay-Z do Colin Kaepernick wrong at his most recent concert at Yankee Stadium? Now, Jay is facing criticism after a freestyle performance at the stadium, which reignited a year-old conversation about Colin Kaepernick's relationship with the NFL. Now, here's a snippet of Jay rapping a sub, kind of, well, not a sub really, where he talks about Cap, and then we'll discuss after that.
They run out of characters, had to bring back up Cap again. Buddy took a check, I ain't even mad at him. But along with that check, got a sign of non-disparagement. I'm the one they can't control. Y'all better be glad as him.
So, I think he's alluding to that. I know we all know the Colin Kaepernick story or whatever, but the question I would pose would be this. Does Jay-Z's Kaepernick reference come across as defending his own legacy, or does it make him look defensive about the criticism that has followed him since he partnered with the NFL?
It comes off as defensive.
Defensive?
Yes, on his, because first of all, if these 3 nights are about you and your legacy, do that. Mm-hmm. But especially now, Colin Kaepernick has continued to do the work, and I've disagreed with the way Colin Kaepernick has handled certain things. Since the whole kneeling situation. Yeah. But now is not the time to say anything negative about Colin Kaepernick or to insinuate that he is somehow compromised by the system because he took money as a settlement after suing the NFL. I thought this was a low blow for Jay. I think it was a stain on the 3 nights, on top of, a couple other things that he said. This is not what people in certain positions should do to other people who are doing the work. Yeah. And I the Know Your Rights campaign, I think has done some great things. The fact that Colin Kaepernick, who, I know he's still got a check from Nike, but he's taken that money and put it into certain initiatives that are community based. And I can't say I know each and every one of them, but I've done enough reading to know that he's still out here doing the work. Shout out to Colin Kaepernick. Yeah. Jay-Z, this, I know you had something on your heart and you tried to get it out, but this was a bad look.
I think it was done in poor taste on Jay-Z's end, considering that he could have even got the whole Target situation line off without actually bringing Kaepernick into it. And I understand that it may be a sore situation for people to always misread what your goal and purpose was as far as doing certain things, especially with the NFL situation with Jay working with them and people not understanding that what he was doing actually went toward helping present reform, helping certain families in certain communities. And Jay has been part of trying to create or actually making change and getting people out of prison and doing things like that. But that shouldn't take away what Kaepernick has done just because you've done the same thing and you're taking a shot to kind of alleviate and clear your name, and somebody is actually working on the same goals as you. So I feel like that was definitely done in poor taste. And I totally understand him addressing the Target situation, because I actually had talked about that on one of the shows, and we had a short about it, about how when it comes to boycotting, if you're not boycotting everything that doesn't stand for your purpose or your moral, so to speak, then you can't be mad at somebody else that's, you know what I'm saying, doing something with an organization that you're not necessarily boycotting. So I understood that part. But yeah, throwing Cap under the bus, so to speak, was kind of a low blow for Jay.
Yeah, I fundamentally disagree with both things, which we've talked about. But to me, this is just Jay-Z trying to... I feel like Jay-Z wants to be liked by the culture very much. And I feel like he's trying to... I don't know if it's like... He's trying to make it seem like he's the one good billionaire. And the way that he's positioning this is kind of in a way that's kind of like, well, hey, see, I do a lot of good things, but even Kaepernick is taking money. And it's like, well, I'm thinking to myself, maybe you don't fully understand the arguments against you if you're going to like harp on somebody who is not a billionaire, who has done more than you have done, with less. In that particular type of way. And then you still feel defensive about it because you're upset about being criticized for being of the billionaire class, which I believe is rightfully so, because you don't become a billionaire without stepping on other people.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah.
And, like, own it or don't say anything.
It came off as in bad taste.
Yeah.
The timing's bad. You could have got other bars off without actually mentioning the Kaepernick situation. I thought it was unnecessary. I don't think this was something that had to be done. It's damn near a reach. It's like, bro, I feel like you were trying to really find some acceptance here by saying that bar to kind of sneak it in real quick and then get by it. Jay is not flawless. He's not, I'm not saying he's flawless or anything. I've never said that, but this wasn't it. This wasn't a move.
But also, he didn't just try to sneak it in. He tried to position himself as if he is the righteous one.
Oh, as it relates to how he executed the bar.
That's kind of...
He's like, I'm this guy.
That's fair.
That's fair. I think what he said, okay, so he said he wasn't mad at him for taking the check or whatnot.
Right.
I don't know if it was to position himself as the righteous one, so to speak.
There's no other reason you would say that.
I think it was just to kind of take the smoke off of himself.
Nah, bro.
I don't think it was to say that one is more righteous than the other. I think it was trying to say that Cap is doing what he's supposed to do, or you know what I'm saying?
And I'm a little infallible and so is he.
Yeah. That's what I think it was.
But I think,
feel like it was nah, man. I feel like he said that as it's like I'm poking at it. Like I don't know if he really is vouching for.
Now the part where he was like, I'm the one that they can't control.
Right.
No, I think that was something that was more so like, I can shake and move how I want in this climate, regardless of the outcome. Blah blah blah. Because I control my own destiny.
And I can do, and I've been doing the things that I do, and they can't control me. Again, I guess is where, like, if you put the whole bar in perspective together as it leads to one thing, it feels like at the very end, he's like, the things that you think that you're doing, I'm doing, you know, and I do it at a higher scale. You know,
they can't control me while I'm doing it, but they can control you.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, you are, like, he's not, like, again, there are people like me. He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
Like, he does some good things.
Yeah.
But, you know, like.
Yeah. And in the same token, he was trying to give himself peace by saying, I've gotten people out of prison. I've done this. I do this.
All those things are great.
Which is great.
And in the same breath, and this is the part I did understand because I see this all the time, a bunch of online activists who have a lot to say. And I think, although he's saying that he laughs at them, it still bothers him that they would look at him as somebody who himself would consider, I'm in position and I feel like I use my position for good for you to get online and talk shit about me. And I'm still doing more than what you can do because you're online being an activist.
You know what,
you praise what Kaepernick is doing, but I'm doing the same thing, but they can't control me. So in that sense, yeah. And I just feel like it was unnecessary for him to use Kaepernick in that same breath to explain his position, because he could have did all of that without bringing up that situation.
I think what gets lost. Go ahead, Lon. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, and I'll bring this question up here in a second. And I feel like what it articulated to me is that, and I'm not meaning to downplay him at all, but it almost felt like he doesn't understand why he's being criticized sometimes.
You talking about Jay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guarantee you he doesn't. I mean, that's not a play on his intelligence, but it is I talked about it a few weeks ago. I said he is in a billionaire's bubble.
Yeah.
Okay. There are just certain things that don't hit him, and when they do hit him, it hits him in the wrong way. And that is if you can say that he's a victim of his success in that way, because when you hear criticism, you're like, well, wait a minute. Well, what about this? Yeah. And like, and the people who criticize, and you're like, yeah, what about that?
Exactly.
I feel like as a billionaire, or someone that has a huge amount of money, you're so far disconnected from reality that certain things just may go past you because you haven't been in reality from a world standpoint in so long. But he's
not with the common folk.
There you go. But I also think that sometimes we lose sight of the fact that billionaires are still human.
So?
I'm not shooting bail. What I'm saying is, he watches stuff.
I see what you're saying.
He still hears things.
Yeah, we know Elon Musk pays attention.
Bro, there are people.
He bought an entire social platform because he's so insecure.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, they're still human. Yeah. Yeah, he's going to get triggered by certain things that people send him as it goes through 12 people to get through to him. They're still human. Right?
Well, remember when it was he sat down with Kevin Hart and he talked about how, there have been times where like he's just trying to see his family and everybody's pulling him aside. It's like, man, I could take $3,000 and flip it into $100,000.
Oh yeah, his cousin or whatever.
Like there are people who thought it was callous of him to say how he wouldn't give his cousin $3,000. Now I think he was just making an example. Yeah. I don't know if that was an actual situation, but even though I talk about the billionaire bubble, I'm like, okay, he's trying to tell you, he's like, look, I'm just coming to grandma's house for a family dinner. I don't want to hear your proposals, because you think you can change your life if I give you $3,000 that you can flip into $100,000 in 2 months. And so that's the only time I can shoot him a little bail and have some empathy. But like I said, what he did with Colin Kaepernick, I think was it was in poor taste.
Yeah, I agree.
That's exactly what there's really no way around that part. And even as a Jay-Z fan, I can admittedly say that was done in poor taste. Yeah. And again, you don't have to agree with everything that somebody does to still appreciate what they've brought into the culture of the game. So, you know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people that will stand on this one thing and just be like, I'm completely done. I've had enough.
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of say, well, because we just talked about Kanye West. Yeah. And I'll say the reason I would not go to Kanye West, even though it's only right up the road, that's cumulative. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I don't feel like I'm being any type of hypocrite by saying I don't like what Jay-Z did here. And there are certain things like I've been critical of. I think the thing that's going to haunt him for the rest of his life is we're beyond kneeling.
Yeah,
man,
that's going to be something that
and that's because it was done in a way that he didn't address it the proper way, and it's behind being in that billionaire bubble, so to speak.
Yeah, I just don't think he understood what he was saying.
He shouldn't have led with that.
Yeah.
What he should have led with is what he intends to do with that position.
Right.
And you can read everything that he pretty much signed and made the NFL have to be liable for or pay for and donate to behind him working with them. So what he did was very good, but what he said
in that moment was bad.
Was not it.
Yeah, because I don't know if you guys pay attention to the journalist. His name is Bomani Jones.
Oh yeah, I like.
He
Bomani.
had an HBO show that ran for a couple of seasons. I thought was great. And in it, they basically broke down how, for less of like a better term, how woke the NFL is secretly. And a lot of these things were based in initiatives that Jay-Z came up with. Now, if you didn't see that show, you're like, oh, I didn't know that. And I can't break them all down here because I don't have photographic memory like that.
Yeah.
But it's once again, that doesn't excuse your poor judgment in other places. And I can't shoot you a whole lot of bail. I can shoot you a little because you are in a billionaire's bubble and you just don't quite understand what it is when everything that you do as far as your everyday life is curated and you're behind like
it's not scripted because he wouldn't have said that if it was scripted.
Yeah.
I'm talking about how he moves throughout the course of y'all talking about
just
never mind. I got it confused.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Just like if I said, I knew Jay-Z and I had his phone number. If I just called him randomly on a Tuesday, I guarantee you there's, his Outlook calendar or whatever it is he uses is completely full every day for, his entire life.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have that thing to where he understands real life. Like he sees it on TV, but, he probably has 10 security guards and you got to get buzzed in. Like you're not going to get next to Jay-Z. And that's not how most people live. And so, like, things don't reach you in the same way that it would reach you or me.
Yeah. It also doesn't add to your case of being able to reaching that he's married to Beyonce.
NewOldEdge.com for all the education you need this year. If you see it, like it, subscribe, hit any bells that you see for notifications. Also, do not forget to check out our Patreon where you can get the full unedited episodes. That's where all the great stuff happens. We appreciate your support. And as always, we'll see y'all next week. I'm gone. Peace.
In a minute.